Hello and welcome to Into the Woods with Holly Worton. This podcast has evolved over the 5+ years since it first launched. From now on, I'm going to be talking about deepening your connection with yourself, taking inspired action, and really trusting yourself and your intuition. And also mindset, of course, but mindset of all kinds, not just business mindset. I think. Things are changing for me, as you may have noticed if you've been following me online or listening to this podcast, so anything goes here. I hope you stay along for the ride. Thank you so much for joining us today, and now let's get into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to the Into the Woods podcast, episode 339. This is your host, Holly Worton, and I'm back with another solo episode. Today, as is often the case, I'm going to be talking about something personal that I'm going through. And, I always kind of debate about sharing these things with you. And then I hear back from other people saying that they're going through the exact same thing. And I had a kind of coaching check-in with my coach, Lisa Wechtenheiser, last week. She basically gave me the feedback that I need to keep doing this, sharing my stuff, because other people resonate with it. So here I am. So today I'm here to talk about chaos and feeling frazzled and being on the edge of burnout, or not burnout, but meltdown. I feel like I've been on the edge of meltdown all week. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then more than that, I'm going to talk about how to kind of bring yourself back to center and how to deal with it when life just keeps throwing you stuff. And it's really, really stressful. I can't remember the last time I had a week like this. It's Friday as I'm recording this. This is going to go out on Monday. Usually I try to do the recording for my podcast episodes on Monday to go out the following Monday. But this week I just keep pushing it in my calendar and dragging and dropping everything because I just haven't felt in the right place. So this week didn't start out, looking at my calendar, it didn't look like it was going to be an unusual week. Next week, I can already tell you, is going to be a super busy week. I'm going to be out of the office 3 times, which is kind of wild for me. So I'm really concerned about next week as well. But anyway, this week started out fine. Everything was organized. Everything was set up in my calendar. It looked like it was going to be normal. It looked like it was going to be just a regular week in the office. And the only thing really out of the ordinary was I had calls every morning this week with my new web designer who's doing a complete overhaul of my website. I'm super excited about that. And that's been going really, really well. It's been a really beautiful process. I love the person I'm working with as a friend. She's doing an amazing job. It's really a co-creation because, like I said, we've been meeting every morning, talking about this. She shows me what she's done. We talk about stuff that needs to be done. It's been great. So that was the only thing that was out of the ordinary in my calendar, and it's turned out to be kind of the highlight of my week. It's been absolutely fantastic. Client stuff started to get in the way. I have one client that was just really hands-on this week, requiring lots of phone calls, lots of last-minute stuff, and that made it really stressful for me. And then I had another client that was also needing some last-minute stuff done, but that went really well, and it was really easy, and that wasn't very stressful to deal with. So that was fine, but lots of kind of unexpected stuff. And I had a meetup group to go to on Tuesday. That was really enjoyable. I wasn't looking forward to going into London because the weather was terrible, but that was fun. But it was something was making everything really difficult. I had all these little things that were unexpected and, not easy to deal with, but it really shouldn't have been that overwhelming. So I'm not sure what was going on to kind of make this so difficult, but I felt like kind of inside I was always on the edge of meltdown, really. And I kind of felt like I was just barely hanging in there this week. And I kind of had to drag and drop so many things from the work week. And I have taken some breaks. I took a bath on Wednesday because I couldn't handle it. It was either that or I was going to melt down. So I've kind of had to postpone certain things like this podcast, which I've really postponed until the last possible day to give my editor enough time to get it done before Monday. So that means I'm going to have to work tomorrow, Saturday, because I just did not have time to get everything done. And this really is stuff that I don't want to push into the following week. Because as I said, I'm going to be out of the office 3 days next week, and I can't push anything from this week into next week. It would have to go into the following week, and I don't want to do that. So hopefully tomorrow I will get some extra work done. And then Sunday, I really hope to go on a long walk in the woods alone. I was thinking about inviting other people, but I think what I really need is just alone time in nature. So that's my story for this week. So if you're feeling that way, or if you've ever felt that way, or if you're afraid you might feel that way, looking at your schedule and your calendar and things that are coming up, let's talk about this. Let's talk about things you can do to bring yourself back to center, to a place of calm where you can get through the stuff you need to get through. So meditation is the first thing that comes to mind. I have been thinking about meditation a lot this week, and I've been thinking, oh, that would be a good thing to do. But it just felt stressful to do. Like, it felt like that would be good and it would make me feel better. But that's just one more thing to add to my to-do list. It's one more thing to add to my Google Calendar that's already packed and double booked in some places because I've had to like drag and drop things as the week is going. So I haven't meditated. Again, I'm sure that would make me feel better, but it felt like one more stressful thing to do. So meditation, if that feels right for you, and if it doesn't feel too stressful, then do something like that. And that goes for everything else that I mentioned. I know sometimes when we've got a really, really stressful week or couple of weeks or longer, it can feel like adding one of these self-care things is just another thing to tick off your list, and it can make things feel even more stressful. So if that is the case, keep it simple, keep it easy, do what you need to do to get through this. So meditation could be good. Like I said on Wednesday, before my call with Lisa, I took a bath. I don't think it was more than like a half an hour, but it completely changed my mood. It just reduced the stress. It was an Epsom salt bath. And as you know, Epsom salts are supposed to be good for detox and mineralization and all that kind of good stuff. But it really, really made a difference. And it got to the point where I was like really tense, and I had to. Otherwise, I knew I wasn't going to get anything out of the call with Lisa, and I wasn't going to get anything done. I ended up coming off that call with Lisa, having like a half an hour of just time to think about the stuff we had talked about. And then I did another hour of work in the evening, later than I usually work, but I felt fine because I had had that little break earlier. So my suggestion to you would be, I know not everyone works from home, not everyone has the luxury of doing this, but give yourself permission to do what you need to do to take a break during the day. And maybe in exchange, keep going a little bit later in the afternoon or evening. Sometimes, if you can give yourself permission to have that break, it really makes it easier to do the things you need to do after. So again, if you don't work from home, maybe that's taking a walk away from your desk, hiding in the bathroom for a while, taking a walk around the block, whatever you can do to have a break so that you can keep going later. And this may or may not work for you because sometimes it's hard for me to negotiate that in my mind with myself. Like, oh, if I take a break now, then I can just postpone the work that I would do now and get it done later. And sometimes that's really stressful. And sometimes that feels like, oh, I just want to take the things off my list. I don't want to just keep pushing them further down in the day. But really, sometimes that can make a big, big difference. So if you can give yourself permission or get permission from other people if you need to take a break and keep going later, that will make a big difference. Or it might make a big difference, but it's worth trying. It's something that's really, really helped me in the past. So that's really useful. Then earlier today, I was just, again, feeling really, really stressed, feeling like I was on the edge of meltdown. And I just asked friends about it, or I shared it with people. And this is something that I really hesitate to do. I always hesitate to put whether it's either in one of my, in the Master Gut Facebook group, which is, my supportive people, or in like a WhatsApp group that I belong to. Like, I really hesitate sharing my shit with people because I feel like I don't want to dump my crap on others. And I framed my post in that message saying, I really don't feel comfortable sharing these things, but I shared it with the women that I was on my plant spirit healing apprenticeship with. Immediately got responses from a couple of the people in the group, and it was really, really helpful. Just feeling support from them and feeling like, okay, they heard me, they understand, they gave me some reasons why I might be feeling that way, because perhaps I'm still processing some of the healing stuff that I've done on the apprenticeship and other healing stuff that I've been doing in the last couple of weeks. That's absolutely a possibility. But also they gave me practical ideas. They mentioned Epsom salt bath, which I will definitely be doing again today. But they also mentioned, have you smudged yourself lately? And this is something that I often forget to do. I do not smudge myself enough. You may be into this, you may not be into this, but you can take sage or mugwort, which is actually what I used, and burn it, and with a feather fan, or just cleanse yourself with the smoke from the sage or the mugwort or the whatever plant you choose to use, with the intention of cleansing yourself of anything that you might need to get rid of. It's very easy. Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. I forget to do this. I would really like to do this on a regular basis. And I would really like to remember to do this when I'm not feeling well. But anyway, pulled out my smudge kit, pulled out my mugwort, smudged myself, went downstairs, smudged my husband, and really felt better within about 10 minutes. And that might have been just because I took a break. That might have been because I did something different. Might have been because I distracted myself from the things that were causing me stress. And it might have been because smudging is very helpful in getting rid of crap. I really like it, and I would like to do it more often. So smudge yourself. It can really help. So connecting with this group of women really made me feel better because they gave me practical things that I could do. But it was also just the feeling of like, okay, they've heard me, they're being supportive, and they understand. So sharing what you're experiencing with other people can be really useful. Just talking about what you're experiencing can help. And, it can give you practical tips on stuff that you could do. There's so many things you can do to kind of calm yourself, bring yourself back to center, but it's like stopping and taking a few deep breaths. And I'm sure you know this, but when you have like an entire week or longer where you just keep feeling stressed again and again and again, and it's like you kind of pull yourself back and then it happens again, and then you pull yourself back and it happens again, it's really useful to have a list of things that will help you to bring yourself back to center and help yourself feel better. Another thing I want to say that I've done this week that has been incredibly useful, I think, in surviving up until now, is getting some extra sleep. So I have allowed myself to sleep in every day this week except for Thursday when I had my early kickboxing class. So sleep, I find, and I know not everyone can do this, and you certainly can't do this if you have a job, but if you can do this, if you are self-employed, or if you work from home and people aren't paying attention to when you log on in the day, give yourself permission to either sleep in late in the morning or go to bed early. And maybe you go to bed early and you can't fall asleep, but maybe you could read a book and that would be relaxing, or just lie there in the darkness and look at it as relaxing time. I really think that sometimes it's really stressful when you go to bed and you're so stressed that you can't sleep. But sometimes I find it useful to just look at it as lights are out, I'm lying here, and it's my relaxing time. I'll fall asleep when my body's ready to fall asleep. Right now, I'm just going to relax. However, this week I have been so exhausted, I think, that I've been falling asleep really, really quickly, which has been fantastic. Haven't necessarily gone to bed earlier, but sleeping in the morning a little bit, I think, has helped me keep going this week. I haven't been in the best place, but I also haven't had a meltdown, and I haven't burnt out yet, and I'm hanging in there. So I think it's a combination of these little things that I've been doing that have helped me kind of get to the end of the week and record this for you. So as I'm talking about these things, you're going to know what's going to work for you. You're going to know what you can fit into your schedule. You're going to know what's going to help you particularly. You might want to, if you use a diffuser, diffuse some essential oils. Lavender can be really relaxing. I don't use a diffuser because I have cats, and a lot of essential oils are really toxic to cats, but you could get like a lavender perfume or oils, either put it on your skin. Now, I know not all oils are good for skin because it can be irritating, but you could also get like a tissue and put the oils in a tissue and just have it somewhere that you can smell, or get some room spray that's lavender, or other plants. But lavender is really, really nice and relaxing and good for when you're feeling really, really stressed. So think about how you can help yourself relax using all your senses. Food. What foods do you find really nourishing? I'm still in the middle of my alternate day fasting protocol, so I'm eating every other day. But when I've been eating the foods that I know my body likes. I haven't been filling up with carbs, which is where my body often craves when I'm not feeling well. But I know those foods don't make my body feel great. So I've been eating high fat, high protein. I have been eating vegetables, but I've been focusing on the foods that I know will fuel my body and also feel really, really satisfying, rather than reaching for pasta or something that might be tempting when I'm not feeling well. So anyway, foods. Pay attention to the foods you're eating. Pay attention to water. I'm really good at hydrating because, again, I do fasting a lot. So I'm really good at staying hydrated with both water and herbal teas. So I'm good about keeping hydrated, but a lot of people aren't. So make sure if you're working, I always have a pint of water, sparkling water. I prefer pint of water on my desk and a cup of something hot, usually herbal tea. Right now I'm drinking this, I think it's called 4 Sigma. It's a mushroom coffee. I'll link to that in the show notes. It's really, really good. Worth having around, like hot things that you like to drink. So if you don't like hot beverages, obviously ignore this, but I always like to have 2 different kinds of liquids on my desk at any given time. And as soon as I finish my cup of tea, I get up from my desk, go downstairs, and I make a new one. So about every hour or so, I'm kind of going through another process of resupplying myself with liquids. But stay hydrated. That can really, really help because it can help your body stay hydrated, which is what it needs to be, so that it can help you kind of get through the day and get through the week. So pay attention to stuff like food and liquids. And finally, just constantly reevaluate your priorities throughout the week. So as you know, because I talk about this all the time, I like to use Google Calendar to plan my days and weeks. So every day and multiple times a day, I check it. Like I always have Google Calendar open on a tab on my browser, always, because I'm constantly adjusting it. Certain things take longer or shorter than other things, and so I'm constantly adjusting that in my calendar and then dragging and dropping the other things to fit in. So, one thing that I've been doing this week is adjusting my calendar, dragging and dropping the other stuff, and using that to reprioritize the stuff. So, all of the tasks that I've bumped to tomorrow are things that didn't need to get done Monday through Friday. It's okay for me to do them on Saturday. I could push them to next week, but like I said, I know I won't have time, and I certainly don't want to push them to 2 weeks from now. So look at your priorities, look at what you can postpone, look at what you could, maybe get done in the evening after a little rest, or get done in the morning after you go to bed early, whatever, find what works for you, but use your calendar, whatever system you use, to constantly reevaluate your priorities and make sure that you're working with your highest priorities. So don't just plow on through your inbox just because it helps you to feel like you're getting stuff done. Is that stuff the most important stuff for you to be working on now? If not, if you have another little mini project or task or something that you need to be working on, then focus on that. Focus on constantly getting the most important, the highest priority things done. Because the lower priority things you can bump until tomorrow. and then repeat. Every day, every hour of every day, I've been checking into my calendar and reorganizing things. And again, there were points in the week where I had oftentimes 2 time blocks on top of each other because I had kind of bumped them from today. They were going to tomorrow, but I didn't know which one was going to be highest priority until I got to that day. So my calendar was really messy. Right now that we're at the end of the week, it's Friday, I can see that it's all coming together because I have given myself an extra day tomorrow to work. And I don't usually like working on weekends, but because I'm going to be out of the office so often next week, it's quite reasonable for me to make an exception to the rule and get some work done tomorrow. And the weather's supposed to be good this weekend, so I might go on my walk on Saturday and work on Sunday, or I might do it the other way around. Right now, I would really like to get the work done tomorrow so I can walk on Sunday, but we shall see. Again, I'm being flexible. So I think another sign of what's helped me get through this week and what helps me get through this stuff in general is being flexible, being willing to drag and drop stuff on my calendar and being flexible in terms of being willing to get stuff done on Saturday so it doesn't make next week even worse and that kind of thing. So being flexible, that's my final suggestion for you. As I'm looking at my calendar, as I talk to you now, I'm feeling pretty good about the way the week is wrapping up. And honestly, doing this podcast, telling you my story, has really made me feel better as well. It's really kind of talking about my chaotic week, talking about my own personal stress has helped me to bring myself back to center, and I hope that it's helped you. So if you're having a stressful week, I'm really, really sorry. Try some of these tactics, and see how they work for you. Also, check out some of my other episodes where I've talked about burnout. Episode 324 was how to keep overwhelmed from becoming burnout. That episode wasn't that long ago. So clearly I keep getting myself into this situation. Episode 226 was another solo episode where I talked about what to do when fear of overwhelm is keeping you stuck in business. And then episode 133, going way back to the Ready to Bloom days, I did an interview with Lynn Horde on how to dissolve overwhelm and put the joy back into your business. So, I probably could talk about this more, but I think it was really important for me to talk to you about this as I'm going through it, to share my story because I know other people experience this. And honestly, it's been really good for me as well, which is something that I wasn't expecting. I just wanted to tell my story, get the episode out there, get it to my editor so that he could work on it for Monday before it was too late. And it's really helped me. So talk to people, tell your friends. If you have a support group, if you have people who can listen, just talking to someone can really help. I highly recommend it. So that is all for now. I hope you found this interesting and useful. Please drop me a line. Let me know what you thought about this week's episode. You can email me at holly@hollyworton.com or find me online and get in touch there. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to visit hollyworton.com/339 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you for listening. Thanks so much for listening to Into the Woods with Holly Worton. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for topics that were discussed, at hollyworton.com. That's HOLLYWORTON.com. If you'd like to connect with other listeners and get support on your journey, I would love for you to join my private community on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Holly Worton. That's patreon.com/Holly Worton. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next week.